Good evening, everybody. Hope you guys had a good week. We'll be starting here momentarily. All right, we getting ready to start here. All right. Welcome everybody to another broadcast here, and I excuse me, I had to get my son to. I just got some fresh grapefruit for the house. There's some other growers out here. They still had some. Fortunately, they still had some grapefruit left over, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need to hit that. I'm gonna need to get it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Well, first of all, number one, I really like the taste, but I was talking again to my wife about, okay, out here we have a restaurant, and I'm sure many of you, particularly on the West Coast, you're very familiar with it. On the East Coast, not yet, but I have a feeling that they're probably going to be opening up some soon. Now, I will go to In-N-Out maybe once a week. Maybe once a week I would go there, right? And just get I would get the doubles, not the double. My children, they get that. I just give me the single, I'm good, But I would go there like once a week, you know what I mean? And that was like my treat. And so, but that was before I started drinking grapefruit juice, like fresh grapefruit juice, seeded grapefruit juice. And big shout out, of course, everybody in the chat. So glad that you're here. So glad that you're here. And so anyway, and I was reading up about the benefits between seeded grapefruit versus unseeded grapefruit. And then they talked about how grapefruit seeds, there's something on it. And it, basically was just talking about how basically it helps to curtail your cravings for things like sweets and things like that, right? And so I've noticed that. I noticed that like a whole lot. Like I would drink it in the morning, and then I drank it in the evening. So I said In-N-Out is 5 minutes away from. Yeah, it's about 7 minutes or maybe under 10 minutes from me. So that, and then they love Five Guys out here. I can't do Five Guys, man. You need a loan for them, man. You got to get a whole loan. I got to go to the bank first and get a loan. Then I could go to Five Guys. And most what I will do on occasions, I love their fries, but a bag of their fries, like when I get the fries, I get the large size. Not for me. Okay. I ain't like that. Right. But I would get the large fries, and then I distribute it amongst the house. Hey, a bag. And when I say a bag, see what they do is they'll get like a paper cup, right? And they fill it, and they put a few extras in there, and it's like supposed to be like a whole lot, and it's like $8. It's $8 just for the fries. And so so anyway, that's like, again, on very rare occasions I would get that, right? But their fries are so good. Their fries, In-N-Out, In-N-Out fries, them things get cold just like that, man. I can't even get out of the parking lot and the fries are cold. But the fries from Five Guys, I just haven't found anybody yet, man, that could top them, at least for now. And so sometimes, like in the middle of the day, I get hungry. I may get that, right? But I get it for everybody. That's like one bag for everybody. It's like $8, right? But the burgers, forget it. I'm sure they're good. I haven't had one in a long time, but daggone it. How much the burgers cost? It's crazy. Anyway, so I started drinking grapefruit juice, like organic grapefruit juice, that has the seeds in it and all that, like what I have right here. And I'm going to tell you, my appetite for in my mind when I'm out, like during the week, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's about lunchtime. I want to get something. In-N-Out always comes to my mind, but it's like I just can't close the deal. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want it. Like I literally do not want it. It's not that it's nasty. It's just I don't want it. And I didn't have that before. And it's not even like some struggle. I just don't want it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm not going to eat it again. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's very interesting how I've noticed how it curtails your desire for some of these things. Definitely for sweets as well. I used to, call myself, well, I'm going to go to Trader Joe's and get those, get those chocolate muffins. I would go there, and call myself eating healthy muffins. It's different because they're healthy muffins. No, they about the same thing. Even though they say, oh, it's gluten free or whatever, they put everything else in there. And so, I call myself for that. But I haven't had it in a long time. I haven't had it in a long time. And just this week, I did with my daughter. That's like kind of her thing. She loves going to these coffee shops. She loves them. And so this week I said, I'll go and get, I'll go with her or whatever. I got something, a little Danish thing or whatever. But that was the first time in weeks and weeks that I've done that. And so anyway, all that being said is that I'm just sharing that with you because it ties into the bigger thing we're going to be talking about, and it's something that we've been talking about ongoing on this platform. And that's just the importance of your wellness, health and wellness as it pertains to your brain. There's two things that I would like for you to look up on your own time. And I'm actually going to do this. I was going to do this earlier, but I got caught up in some things. I want you to look up candida. Candida. That's the first thing. I want you to look up candida. And I also want you to look up parasites. I want you to look that up as well. Well, we have, if you go to our website, journeymanandwoman.com. Let me see if I can bring it up for you. Let me go to journeymanandwoman.com. And I want you to go to, you could go there, or, if you want, let's see. Basically, let me just tell you this. You can go there. You can go pretty much anywhere. I want you to look up the impact of candida and parasites on your brain. That's what I want you to look up. I want you to look those things up. And you're going to find that there are going to be some things that you're going to notice that, oh, snap, that's me. Candida, for example, it's tied to yeast. And it can have an impact on like brain fog, for example, or, it's hard for you to focus on certain things. It's just really hard for you to do it. Just get to the bottom line. You got a lot of people that are like that these days, right? It's just hard for people to focus. That's one thing, but it's tied to many of things that, that would be a whole series of videos if we wanted to get into that this evening. I'm just mentioning these things to you because what we're seeing out here, the kind of foolishness that we're seeing out here, it's tied to many things because oftentimes we'll bring things up here and people are like, well, what is it? And a lot of times when I'm listening to some people who are like kind of spitballing why, black folks when we're talking about black folks, why do we do some of the things we do? And so immediately what people like to do is to spiritualize it and try to say that, oh, it's generational curses, or it's, whatever, the father did something. There was a witch, that was part of their bloodline, or he's an Edomite. He got some Edomite blood in him or whatever. We'll find all kinds of things to talk around stuff. But when it comes to talking about the stuff that we're putting in our own bodies, we don't want to talk about that and the impact of that. And that's what we try to do here on this platform. And especially, over on sombertree.com, if you take the time and go over there, we're committed to that. We're committed to laser focus on these things that are causing our brains and our rest of our bodies to act the way they're acting. Nature, we are supposed to live in a symbiotic relationship with nature. That's how it's supposed to be. Our bodies are self-healing and all of that. But when we don't give our bodies the opportunity to do that, such as, going on periodic fasts, or just turning off TV, turning off the internet, exposing yourself to just silence. You remember I did a video a while back talking about when you expose yourself to silence, to complete silence, your brain immediately clicks into a self-repair mode. I don't know if you knew that or not. When you expose yourself to complete silence, your brain automatically, it clicks into a self-healing mode. Now think about all of these people who are walking around who always got these earbuds on, always listening to videos, always got music on, always watching TV, and there's never any silence at all that their brain can ever experience except when they're in bed sleep. And even in that, depending on what house you live in or what community you live in, your brain just, it varies. Does your brain ever get the full time it needs in silence to heal itself? These are very practical things that, again, that a lot of people, they really don't talk about. In fact, if I were to that's why I have to talk about it with videos like this, because if I did a video where it was just exclusively about that and that of itself, well, you're not going to get too many people interested in that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find ways to hide those veggies, if you will, in these videos, because it's going to help you to better process and understand how to develop resolutions or to resolve a lot of these problems that we may table and talk about. Do you understand what I'm saying? Instead of you just zoning out and just like, oh Lord, I don't want to hear more of this. Oh Lord. When I hear things like that, it's not bashing from anybody. It's just simply, it's like me fixing my car. If the car have problems, I'm going to open the hood up and I'm going to assess the damage. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're opening the hood up and we're continuing to assess the damage. And then at the end, we're going to, like a good mechanic, we're going to say, okay, here are some things that we can and should do to repair it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that we don't do this again. So this doesn't happen again. That's what we're about here. But just simply hosting videos where we're just running our mouths and talking about bad things and then that's it. And then saying, okay, have a jolly good night. Well, that's not a good way to end your night, is it? It's not at all. We want some solutions, right? And so that's what we're about here. All right. So anyway, and that's what we're going to get into. If you give me a moment here, let me take another swig of my grapefruit juice. Okay. Hold on for just a moment. Yeah, that's good, man. That is good. And she just picked them. Like I called the lady, not called her. I messaged them and I said, hey, you got any more? And it was like, yeah, we got more. And they said, well, just let us know when you coming. And so that I can have somebody go out there and pick them for you. So this is fresh picked. And so usually I will, for us in our house, I will sit them in the kitchen and just have it. And you could just smell that fresh fruit smell just all throughout that. It's something. But anyway, another big shout out, of course, to everybody that's in the chat. And again, I am so glad that you guys are here. And of course, just share your comments. Okay. Share your comments. It's good to have silent watchers, but it's also good to have when people are participating in it and all that stuff. So, oh yeah, this is Mad Guns. Let me see what he's saying here. Let me see. He said, not trying to be that guy, but as a health and wellness consultant, I advise my clients to avoid ground meat. I do not want to eat ground meat of untold cows, chickens, or turkeys. Yeah, you can be that guy. And that's, this is the reality. It's, for some, it's going to be difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because you grew up eating that. But more and more now, I mean, it's you can't deny it. You know what I'm saying? That there's something to this way of thinking here that you're putting up here. So yeah, be that guy. We need more guys like that for real. That's gonna talk about this so that people can see, the options that are out there. You know what I mean? To have a healthy and well life. And that's what the goal should be. So anyway, so tonight we're going to take a trip through. If you notice the thumbnail, we talked about we're addressing the bad emotional investments that have been made over the years that are embarrassing, that have been embarrassing. Now, let's take it this way, so you kind of know more what I'm talking about. I'll give you a practical example. Let's say, for example, if you are working with somebody who there's a broker, right? They're a stockbroker. And they said, hey, listen, I got some great opportunities for you of things or areas that you can invest in. And, just trust me, just send your money over here, put it in this account, and I'm going to take care of you. Right. So you follow them because you believe that they are the experts in this. You send them some money, right? They get the money and they make the investments. And then about 2, 3 days, 4 days later, maybe a week later, you see your broker again and you're like, hey, how do those investments go? And he's like, well, the market, it's got a mind of its own. And sometimes it's up days and down days. Going, bottom line, what happened? Well, we lost a lot of money this week and it's not too good. And then, you being somewhat of a reasonable person, you're like, you know what? Okay, I understand what you're saying about the market. I get it. And let's just leave it in there and, we'll just keep rolling. Okay. He's like, okay, good. I thought you was going to be mad at me. Right. He's like, no, I'm all right. Just make sure the next go around, the next bit of advice you give me, make sure you check and double check it and make sure. Okay. He's like, all right, good. Right. So about months later, he comes back to you again and he's saying, all right, I got another investment for you, investment opportunity. This one sounds really good. And this one, I'm telling you right now, if you invest in it, man, you're going to make a ton of money. And then you're like, okay, well, that sounds exciting. Remember what we talked about last time, right? Make sure you check. Yeah, I did that, man. Oh, how you going to tell me how to do my job? And you both laugh and like, hey, I ain't trying to tell you, man, I'm just saying, and it's like, okay, all right, good. And so you go ahead, send your money to them again and invest it. Week later, you find out same thing. So now you got two bits of advice that he's giving you, and the investments were not good investments. So at this point now you're kind of like, okay, is this guy, does he even know what he's doing? And so, and so this little charade continues on and on and on. But here's the thing. Why is it going on and on and on? So who's the biggest fool? The guy that's doing the actual investing, the broker, or the person that continues to give him that money so that he can continue to make these choices that are really bad choices? I'll let you decide on that, but who's the biggest fool on that? But it's not looking good for both of them. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to our emotional investments. Emotions, as I've always said, is something that is that we have been created to have. That emotions aren't a bad thing. When you hear people oftentimes say, talk about how, women tend to be more emotional than men and all that. And usually in some cases it's said in a very derogatory way that women tend to be more on the emotional scale than men, and but that's not a negative. It is not a negative at all. It's naturally, it is not a negative, because here's the thing: men have emotions too, not emotions like what TD Jake's talking about, but emotions. We do have emotions, that we have been created to have, right? And so the emotions itself, it's just what makes us human. We're not robots here. It's what makes us human. Now, just like the example that I gave you earlier about the investor, in that whole scenario, we have to make sure that we guard our emotions, our emotional investments when different situations come about. Because what happens is when you invest that emotion, just like if I'm investing cash into a stock or a bond or whatever, or crypto or whatever, it's literally taking something out. And you feel that, right? Well, emotions is the same thing. When I'm investing a whole lot of emotions in something, it's literally taking something from me. And more often than not, you really don't get a big return on that. Not really. It's just a way of expression, really. That's really what emotions are. It's a way to show empathy to whatever it is that you're trying to emphasize with or about or whatever, right? That's what it is. So it's a good thing, but it does take a lot. Now imagine you're in this cycle where you keep giving out emotions all the time. You just keep giving it out all the time. How do you replenish that? Do you have a basic protocol that you go through to replenish all of that you've been giving out? A lot of people, believe it or not, don't. And so so tonight what we're going to do is we're going to go through history, because I love history. And we're going to go through the many examples that have taken place amongst black folks, in this country, where a massive amount of emotional investments were made, but the returns weren't as good. And instead of being responsible investors and saying, wait a minute, let's stop this cycle and let's figure this thing out. And let's, no, we got to stop doing this because it's taking too much out of us, but we're not really getting a whole lot in return. All right. So to start with, I'm going to look at this more current story very briefly, because there was a recent development that took place last night before I went to bed of the young man who decided to use a knife to settle a certain situation down in Texas. And right now you got a bunch of people who are investing all of their emotion. I had a woman today just trying to go back and forth with me and saying, and then try to twist it as if, well, just because you can't be going on like this just because people don't agree with you. I'm like, honey, I don't care if you agree with me or not. I'm just saying this is the stated facts coming from the direct sources. That's it. That's all I'm talking about. Now, all this other stuff that you're bringing in and scenarios that you're bringing up, those aren't verified. They're not verified. These are things you're hearing online. But I'm just pointing to you, here are the actual sources that you go to. This is what the lawyer said. This is what the family representative said. And then we're going to talk about him. This is what the other's family, this is what they said. This is what the police said. That's what I'm sticking to. Now, anything else about, he was, because you let it go, people make it seem like he was there just studying for an exam, and all of a sudden the KKK came riding on horses, with a burning cross, if you let people's imagination get with them. And it's been the amount of different stories I've been hearing are doozies. And no matter what I do to try to point people, hey, listen, here are the actual fact, they don't want to hear it. And they get mad at you. And yes, I've been having quite a few people who have been unsubscribing because of that. But I'm at the age right now where I really don't care anymore. I don't. And what matters to me is making sure that we're not repeating certain cycles. And so anyway, last night what happened was someone, you got investigators that are born every minute on social media, and there's some that are pretty good. This one lady, she decided to take on the task of investigating this guy who was claiming to be the family representative of Carmelo Anthony's family. And first of all, you remember the post that I did? I was showing you how they kept raising up the bar for how much they want to raise. It was $50,000. Guess where they're up to now? The last I checked, $450,000. 450. It continues to go up. It continues to go up. And so I kept saying, and then I was like, it's something about this that's really funky and off. And I had people coming, well, it costs a lot to have a legal team, and you got to, yeah, it does, but I rarely have seen people do it this way. And with this guy that we're going to talk about, it adds another layer as to why people should put on the brakes and say, okay, what the heck is actually going on? So let me pull this up here on the screen here. And if you give me a moment here, let me take another drink of my grapefruit juice, and we're going to get to it. Okay, hold on. All right. So here we go. So this is what someone discovered in their investigation, and I have a short video I'm going to play too. Carmelo Anthony's newly hired attorney, Kim T. Cole, is general counsel to the Next Generation Action Network Foundation, or NAGAN, is a Black Lives Matter supporting 501c3 that is based on a full investigation has brought in six figures, yet has filed a total of only 2 IRS reports since its inception in 2014. According to federal law, 501c3s are required to file annual returns of their income and expenses with the IRS. And records also show that the organization received a grant from another entity called Good Works Dallas with the same registered address, which can indicate alleged money laundering. And basically, I will say this, I'm just skipping because there was some other stuff that I was reading too, but this organization that this family representative is founded, they had a total of like 5 or maybe 6 501c3s that they started and then shut down, start and shut down. It's just a lot of shadiness that's going on. The fraudulent foundation is run and was founded by Dominique Alexander. And that was the video that you guys may have seen. Hold on for a second. Let me pull up a video for you so you can see who I'm talking about. Where is that video? It was here. Okay, this is him here. Good. I actually left it up. Here it is right here. This is the guy right here, Dominique Alexander. Let me just play a little bit of it so you can hear him. But this is the guy that, according to him, he has been appointed by the family to be the spokesperson of the family. So let me just play a little bit of him, and then we'll come back and I'll read the rest of what has been discovered about this individual.
Targeted with violence and simply because their child is in the center of this tragedy. We are here just for just. This justice must be fair and impartial and protected from biases. We cannot allow racism and bigotry to divide us. We cannot allow white America to decide when and how Black people can speak up against oppression. We do not pull the race card, we live it. Yes, this case is a tragedy. Anytime a child is lost, we mourn as a community. Our heart goes out to the family of Austin Metcalf.
Okay, so you get the idea where this guy's going, and he goes on and 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 all his stuff. So it was like a half an hour thing, and that he was going on about. And so that's the guy there. So let me pull up the this other part here. So let's see. Okay, so here's a news story of this same guy, the family, this family representative. Well, he has a history, and apparently, as soon as I can get it up here. That's not him. This is it right here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. It's right here. This is the same guy that you just saw. This was back in 2017. Dallas activist Dominique Alexander arrested on theft charge. Prominent Dallas activist Dominique Alexander was arrested 30 in Denton County on a theft charge. Denton County booking records show that the arrest is for an incident that happened in May 2016. He's accused of theft of property between $2,500 and $30,000. And it goes on, and he actually was part of a. This was years ago, where some years ago, where he was part of the a protest that was down there that ended up where it was like 5 officers ended up killed. I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying he was part of the protest. Here's another. They said a previous run-in with the law. They say he received probation for felony injury to a child charge when he shook a 2-year-old. All right, so he had that going on his record. Let me go back here, and I had something else here I'm trying to find out. There was another charge against him where he did something to a woman. I'm trying to get this thing. I don't know why this thing does this. Let's see. They want me to disable my ad blocker, but I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. You have to keep refreshing, and then it comes up. Okay, here we go. Look, let me hurry up before it changes its mind here. Okay, so here we go. A string of legal troubles continues for Dominique Alexander, the leader of the Next Generation Action Network. He was sentenced Friday to 2 years in jail for a probation violation. Alexander, who was 10 years probation for a 2009 charge of injuring a child, had his probation revoked by a judge Friday. Let's see. They talked about how he was denied. Let's see. And then it goes on. Kim T. Cole. This is the same attorney that's representing the Anthony family today. She said because he is human, said his attorney Kim T. Cole earlier this month, he committed crimes for which he has served his time, and he's done his public service for. But court records show Alexander has missed supervision meetings. He's left Dallas County. He hasn't paid some court order fees and hasn't finished required anger management courses. And so anyway, so that's that. And then let me switch back here to this tweet that someone put together here. Give me just a moment. This was a video of him. It's only 25 seconds long here. Let me get this up here. It's right here. All right, so let me just play this for you real quick. This is him again.
Dallas County grand jury has indicted a civil rights activist. Dominique Alexander, the founder of the Next Generation Action Network, was indicted today on a charge of continuous violence against the family. That's a third-degree felony. He was arrested back in April after his girlfriend, Kiera Saunders, told police Alexander assaulted her. However, in an affidavit filed before today's indictment, Saunders says she doesn't want any part of the prosecution and won't testify.
Okay, so My question is this, and this goes along with, what we're talking about, making good decisions versus making bad decisions. Now, if you can imagine, if you're the Anthony family right now, and you're trying to process and trying to figure out, okay, my son did this thing and it's it's changing all of our lives. It's definitely changing his life. And so there's just a lot mentally you're dealing with. And so I can only imagine you got people coming from all corners of the earth saying, hey, I could do this, and hey, I could represent you, and hey, I could do this or whatever. But irregardless, they made the decision to choose to have this guy represent their family. And so, but from what we're seeing, the history behind this guy, plus you're seeing this money thing keep going up and up and up and up and up. I'm talking about okay, well, it was at 50,000. Now we're going to make it at 150. Now we're going to do it at 200. Now we're going to go, how high can it go? And it just keeps going up and up and up. And this dude already has an extremely checkered past. That's not something that you would want to represent your son, who's basically looking at a very long time in prison. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, for some of you who are listening to me, you may say, well, Dwayne, we all mess up. Like, no, we don't all do that. We don't all do that. But there's just it's a culture of just making bad decisions that you'll find a lot. That what happens is a lot of people just make excuses for it. But I'm looking at this and seeing an actual train wreck that's happening in very slow motion. Because as this thing continues to play out, because anyway, what happened was last night, all this information came out. It was sent to Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go took it down. They took it down. I don't know how long. It wasn't that long, but then it's back up now. So I don't know what happened, but it was enough for them to reconsider this. So whatever is behind their decision, let it keep going. That's their choice. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of money that's being invested right now by a lot of black folks into a situation where it's pretty much a done deal that this dude will be doing a lot of time in prison. So I want to ask you this first question, and then we're going to get back in our time machine, and then we're going to go back through some other historical examples. Let me ask you something. If you know that somebody, for the most part, is going to be doing a long time in prison, and you see the crime, do you invest this kind of money into that situation? Like, clearly, this is a very bad decision that was made by Carmelo Anthony. I mean, at the end of the day, now, again, people still are out here saying it was self-defense. It was not. I mean, based on what we know from the police, from, what the official stuff, the official report still isn't out, but what they have reported initially, this is not looking like self-defense at all. So my question, I think, that comes to my mind is, why are people investing so much in what appears to be a situation that it doesn't look like it's going to be an outcome where this dude's going to get out of prison? So that's something I want you to think about, because here's the thing. And as you're thinking about that, before you answer that, remember the other day we went through, we stayed on Give, Send. Did we stay on? No, we went to GoFundMe. We went to GoFundMe.com, and I went through at least 10 different situations of people, black folks, who were hit by or injured by stray bullets. It was at least 10. I may have gone through even more stories than that. They're barely making most cases, they weren't even making their goals of how much they needed to get operations and treatment and stuff like that. And they were only asking, someone was like, I need $600, or I need $100, or not $100. I need $1,000, or I need $5,000. They weren't even hitting it. And these are black folks who had got hit by a stray bullet. In other words, they're minding their business. Shoot, they get hit by a bullet. And then so they're appealing to the community. Hey, I need help. And they're barely getting it. But in a case like this, it's like, we're going to bet the whole house on this. So when people try to make the argument that somehow, in the black community, we try to stick together, we try to stand behind our children and all this, but why are you not standing behind these children? that I went through because, yeah, there were some children that were there. These are recent stories. All you got to do is go to the Give, Send, Go to GoFundMe. You'll find people, a lot of black folks are asking for stuff. Some going homeless, some been hit by whatever, some been robbed or whatever, things that have been inflicted on them by other people that look like them. But it's like, there's no voice for that. But then there's got to be a united front. Make it make sense. Anyway, so something to think about there. In the meantime, let's go. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to go through it real quick because there's a lot of them. And we're going to go through a bunch of stories here of, let me see if this is, no. Well, I could tell you about this one here. Maybe this was Claremont. Let me see if I can refresh this real quick. If it will come up. If it don't come up, that's all right. This is, I'm trying to name the school, Claremont McKenna College. The professor name was Carrie Dunn. Now, this is going back all the way to 2004. So, I mean, there's records on all of this stuff. People do keep records on all this stuff, right? And basically what happened was this professor, unfortunately, I'm trying to get it, see if it will come up. Okay, let me just bring up this here and we'll just work with that, okay? We'll do that. How about we do that? Okay, here we go. We'll work with that. This won't show because they want me to pay or whatever, but Claremont College somewhere, this is back in 2014. The professor, she claimed that someone vandalized something. I'm trying to see, slashed her tires, shattered her windows, spray painted racist graffiti on her car. Well, guess what happened? The police investigated, and of course the campus and all that, they all rallied around and all that. Well, guess what happened? It was her. She did it. All right, here's another one. Author of a hate mail caught arrested at Trinity University. The author of hate mail who has stirred a racial scare on the campus of Trinity International University over recent weeks was arrested yesterday, April 26. According to Lake County prosecutor, this 19-year-old African-American female student had been charged with misdemeanor disorderly conduct and a felony hate crime that could bring up 5 years in prison if convicted. And let's read on. It says, during the past 2 weeks, Hardin's racially motivated letters were sent to 3 minority students at the Evangelical Christian University. The third letter, which had included threats of physical violence against a black female student, prompted the school to remove dozens of black and Hispanic students from campus on Thursday upon its finding. Hardin apparently took such action, said the investigators, in order to convince her parents the school was too dangerous for her to stay, in hopes to stop attending the school. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is what she did. Now, here's the thing. She did this in the school. You know, they to their credit, they say, hey, listen, our objective here is to make sure that we're protecting our students. So you just heard how the school kicked in and they was doing all this stuff, shuffling black students over, and she just sitting there. And then it comes out, she the one that wrote it, because I don't want to be in this school anymore. All right, so that's another story. Let's move on. I got a lot of tabs open here. And this ain't even all of them, y'all. UCSD, is this on San Diego University College of San Diego, or University of California, San Diego, has apologized in her letter published in the Guardian, a student-run newspaper. I know what I did was offensive regardless of my intentions. I am trying to say I'm sorry, the student wrote in an unsigned 10-paragraph letter. In a note to readers, the Guardian said it had verified the authenticity of the letter. Campus authorities said details in the letter are consistent with what they know about the recent incident. The noose was discovered Thursday less than 2 weeks after an off-campus party dubbed Compton Cookout was held during Black History Month. Organizers of the party urged attendees to dress ghetto and advertise that they would serve chicken, watermelon, malt liquor, and enraging university official members of the student body and the community. And then it goes on. So this was this. So everything I'm telling y'all, and I know I see the numbers are low tonight, and maybe that's because it's Friday or whatever, but these are stories these are emotional investments that were made. And once it comes out, the truth comes out, what's typically the response of people? They just back up, do the Homer Simpson thing, and they just back up back in the bush. And we just sit there and we wait for the next thing. Meanwhile, you got people all riled up and worked up, and you done tweeted and you done argued with people and you went through all of this stuff, and then you find out this. All right. Remember earlier what I was talking about, the investor, and the investor keeps coming up short, but you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Here's another thing. Hate crime hoaxer of the month, Sharmika Moffett. 2 days after multiple law enforcement agencies began an investigation into the attack and burning of a Winsboro woman at Saviden Park, authorities now believe the wounds were self-inflicted. According to Winsboro Police Chief Lester Thomas, evidence gathered at the scene of the incident shows a 20-year-old Sharmika Moffett's initial claims that she was attacked and set on fire turned out to be false claims made up by Moffett. This was a case in which the investigators had to pursue the facts that were presented. Thomas said it was a very disturbing case for everyone involved. And so again, she's out here telling all these people, y'all look at what they did to us and all, and then the internet just went ablaze. Moffett could not identify the race of her attackers, but said 3 men wearing t-shirt hoodies doused her in flammable liquid and set her on fire at the park. This crazy woman did it herself. Are you noticing a pattern, by the way? I know it's like I said, we're opening up the hood and we're looking at the situation here. Are you noticing a pattern here? Are you noticing a pattern? Not that it's black folks that are doing a lot of this stuff, but specifically, are you noticing a pattern? I'm seeing a lot of black women that are doing this. Now, am I blaming all black women for doing this stuff? No. But a lot of these stories, they're the star of the show on this. Yeah, drum of praise. Yeah, set herself on fire. All right. Racist graffiti on dorm door ruled hate crime hoax. The Grand Valley State University student who found racist graffiti on her dorm room door whiteboard in mid-February is the same person who put it there. This is another young black woman that's doing this. The racist message had included a stick figure in a hangman's noose and the words "Black B die" and blank Black History Month. She drew this. And everybody, anyway, it goes here. It says, when the incident was initially brought to the campus attention, several organizations and groups were highly alarmed, prompting, this is all, look at all the stuff that they had to do, the campus did. This is the racist system that people say is so racist, and they hate black folks so much. But yet it's the system, this system, they're the ones that are like, okay, we're going to bring whatever we need, whatever support you need or whatever, we're going to do this. But look who's jacking up the system. When the incident was initially brought to the campus's attention, several organizations and groups were highly alarmed, prompting assemblies, discussions in the classroom, and a university-wide alert to the situation, according to the Michigan-based college student newspaper, the Grand Valley Lanthorn. Turns out the incident joins a long and growing list of campus hate crime hoaxes across the nation. Nooses found hanging at University of Delaware campus were lanterns. And this is another one. People seen out of the corner of their eye, they hanging nooses. Now, this is a whole college campus, y'all. So this is supposed to be our best and brightest. Nobody thought, I wonder what that is. Nobody thought to ask questions and investigate. Instead, this story took off like wildfire. And look at what it, and they said, University of Delaware officials said 3 apparent nooses were hanging outside a campus performance hall Tuesday night were not instruments of a hate crime, but harmless remnants of lanterns used during a campus event. The discovery set off a police investigation into what was initially believed to be a hate crime. The swift reaction from University of Delaware President Nancy Target. So they took this thing off. They were making official announcements and all this other stuff. It wasn't no news. LSU noose on social media, not what it looks like. LSU said a picture of what appeared to be a noose hanging from a campus tree Thursday was not what it appeared to be. The picture was posted on social media and quickly spread through the LSU community. It showed what looked like a loop at the end of a rope. Anyway, they said university spokesman said it was actually part of a lighting presentation device that had come loose from a tree. And so they're showing you the pictures of this, and they're saying, oh, it's, and for some of you may say, you're going to believe everything they say. Still in that mindset, trying to make something fit. Anyway, let's move on. I told you it's a lot of them. I'm just trying to get through it. Tweets threatening to kill all black students at Keene University posted by black female activists. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this something? These are all separate stories, y'all. This is like when I was putting this together today, I said, wait a minute. I said, man, most of these stories is black women doing this stuff. How many videos you think you're gonna see on YouTube where people are pointing this out? And again, for the ultra sensitive in the house, I'm not saying all black women do this kind of stuff. I'm not saying all black women fall in. You remember what I said the other day? If you as an individual decide to do something stupid, that falls on you. It is not a group thing. If I'm in a Walmart and it's in a white part of town or a Mexican part of town or whatever, and another black person comes in and they decide they're going to act a fool and start pushing carts down and all this other stuff, I'm just going to keep right on shopping with Teresa and Margarita. I'm gonna be right there with them and keep right on doing. I ain't gonna feel no shame, no embarrassment, because that's on you. You understand? So even as a black woman, I want to make sure I'm going the extra mile and making sure that how I'm communicating and what we are communicating tonight, you are not walking away from here believing that I am saying that all black women think like this, because that is not true. Okay. I'm not stupid. I'm not crazy, but this is something worth noting. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So let's continue. Tweets threatening to kill all black students at Keene University posted by black female activists, police say. Another hate crime hoax. This one is a doozy. They said a person behind "I will kill every black male and female at Keene University" tweet, and similar ones posted in mid-November. It's a black female activist, according to police. But wait, it gets better. The woman, a recent alumnus of Keene University and former president of its Pan-African Student Union, allegedly made the tweets during a protest against racism at her alma mater. She wasn't even a student there. She left the rally, headed into the campus library, created a fake Twitter account, and posted the tweets, then came back to the rally and showed the demonstrators the racist statements against them. I mean, anyway, move on. Hate crime hoax. Black student at University of Iowa who started a bar fight will not be charged. This person, hate crime hoax, false police report. Okay, now this is a Marcus Owens. Now this is a black guy. Was not the victim of an assault at an off-campus bar, he claimed. Rather, the black student was an active participant and even an instigator in 3 separate physical confrontations or assaults that happened at the bar close. Kelsey said. Owens and his family also released a statement apologizing for his extremely poor judgment. So he was an instigator in this. That kind of sounds familiar, don't it? Anyway, let's move on. Here's another story here. This is man admits to faking hate crime in Malden. In the latest case of fake hate crime, a 20-year-old man had admitted that he had made it up when he told Malden cops he was harassed by two men proclaiming it's Trump country now. The man, whose name police have not released, has filed a complaint saying that when he got off the MBTA bus near Broadway Square in Malden at 10 p.m. Tuesday, at least two white men approached him. The white men used a racial slur, made a reference to lynching, and warned him this is Donald Trump's country now. According to the report, he gave to police. He was able to get away from the men and hid before calling police. Investigators prioritized resources. Listen what they did. Look at what happened. They shifted the police. They said, okay, we're going to shift our resources so we can get to this story. Investigators prioritized resources for the suspected hate crime incident and re-interviewed the alleged victim. As a result, it had been determined that the story was completely fabricated. Let's move on to the next one. This is this, I'm trying to see, because this one I'm trying to see. This is a black church that was born. You know, there was a string of black churches that were being burnt. This is a while back. I remember this a while back. And people were saying, oh, it's, you know, they're doing it again. And it came out, it was black folks that were doing that. I don't know if y'all remember those stories. I certainly do. But again, they get tucked away. These are stories that get tucked away. I think I have that somewhere. But anyway, that one, I can't recall what that was about. They said Mississippi black church fire was called a hate crime. Now parishioner has been arrested. Someone who went to the church set it on fire. Anyway, you can't get any. Yeah, you can. Anyway, internet conspiracies roil after hate crime by white America leads to black suspect. The arrest of a black charlatan for a planned out hate crime credited to white America has turned a Charlotte arson case into fuel for roiling conspiracy theories on social media. Charlotte Mecklenburg police suspected a black man in the case from the start after seeing surveillance tape outside the Central Market, an immigrant-operated store in East Charlotte. A window was broken out, a flaming object thrown through the door, and a note left behind that credited the fire to white followers of Donald Trump. The man charged Sunday, Curtis Flournoy, 32, had been arrested 5 previous times in Mecklenburg County. So you get this, you get the theme here. So, but the thing is that people will commit their brain to all this strategy on how they're going to do this. But you tell them to commit their brain to let's build something, and they scatter. Let's keep on. Shoelace mistaken for noose causes racial uproar at Michigan State University. A lost shoelace in Michigan State University caused a racial uproar Wednesday after someone mistook it for a noose. A shoelace, y'all. A shoelace. Yes, you heard that right. A shoelace. Oh my God, the world is over. I can hear Jim Crow coming right now. A shoelace caused a racial uproar Wednesday after someone mistook it for a noose. The president of the school released a statement Wednesday morning saying she was distressed after finding out a student reported a noose was hung outside of her room. Simon commended the student's courage for reporting the racial incident and put out a clear message. This type of behavior is not tolerated on our campus. No Spartan should ever feel targeted based on their race or other ways in which they identify. But Wednesday afternoon, the investigation by MSU police revealed there was no noose. Instead, they found the object was a packaged leather shoelace and not a noose. Okay, anyway, move on. I thought I got these things. Hold on, let me see this. Come on. Oh, I did. Okay, this is, oh yeah, sixth grader. I remember this story here. Sixth grader, black girl. She accused the school. She was accusing her classmates and saying that they cut her hair and all that stuff. That didn't happen. I think I have it. I have it. It's a few more. We're just about through here. Black female high school. This is a different one, but I'm going to circle back on that one. Black female high school student is identified as vandal behind racist graffiti that saw Sacramento High School's water fountains scrawled with white and colored. And so this is what a black girl did. She confessed to scrawling colored on one fountain and white on the other. And once again, it's, community. Look at it. Here we go. Not in my backyard. Let's see if it will play.
Insurance companies are bullies. They don't want to treat you fair. They are going to pick on you.
We are tired of district excuses. We are tired of district letters. We are tired of we are investigating. What we want is consequences.
Sac City schools hit repeatedly with racist vandalism. Thanks for staying with us at 5:30. I'm Curtis May.
So they invested all of that energy. We want answers. We ain't going back. Okay, here's your answer. It was actually a black student that did it. Well, hey, is that my Uber over there? They done moved on to something else. Isn't that how it usually works? They done moved on to something else. Let's move on. And that's how we're going to do. We're going to move on. Black college student arrested after allegedly posting fake racist frat party invites that read no blacks. A black student at East Carolina University was arrested after police said he posted a fake racist fraternity party invite that read no blacks. And there you go. That's him. He did it. Here's another one. City employee charged with putting noose on her desk. Now, this is the one that just happened. We talked about this. She got out here. I could tell you about this. This her right here. I did a video on her. She basically said they got her all on video. I don't know what it is with that age group. You know, like when I think about the people that's scratching up these Tesla cars and all that. I don't know how many people got to tell you Tesla cars got cameras on them. But it's like they don't even get it. It doesn't even register. They get right up there and I'm going to use my number 7 pencil and I'm going to scratch up. I'm going to teach him something. And I'm like, bro, they got a camera. They already got you on tape. I don't care. I ain't going to do it. Next thing you know, mugshot time. But anyway, this woman, she opted to construct in her home or wherever she did, probably went to Home Depot, got the rope, went to YouTube, how to tie a noose knot, whatever she did, but she made it, took it, put it on her desk. She went like on an off time and then came in and oh my God, who did this? I'm going to report it and all that. They had the community organizations, the ones that you never hear about unless something like this happens. The community organizations, they came out, they screaming and hollering, demanding for answers, and we ain't gonna arrest. And the police said, okay, well, we with you. We this is what we do. We're gonna investigate. And they said, okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we want everybody, because it's got DNA on this. Whoever used this, they were too stupid and dumb, and they actually used their fingers. They ain't even use gloves. They just used their actual fingers and tied this thing together. So we got DNA evidence. So, okay, so what we need is everybody in this department, we're going to take a DNA test. Everybody was like, okay, cool. Because, we need to put an end to this stuff. It's disgusting, right? when it got to her, she was the only one that said, well, I don't feel like I need to do that. I don't feel comfortable about that. Because the Bible said, whatever the reason she gave. And it came out, she did it. Teacher gets prison in hate crime hoax. A former psychology professor at Claremont. Oh, that was the story we talked about earlier. Okay. Yeah, I was able to find it somewhere else. And here they come. Here's the other story that I couldn't get to, but here we are right now. Black church, I guess that's Mississippi, fire was called a hate crime. Now parishioner has been arrested for it. This is the guy that did it. A guy that went to the church, he set it on fire. Meanwhile, people were just losing their minds. We gonna get to the bottom of this. Well, they did, and they found his face. Here's the other story here. Virginia sixth grader now says she falsely accused classmates of cutting her hair. The sixth grade girl at a private Virginia school who accused 3 classmates last week of forcibly cutting her hair now says the allegations were false, according to statements from the girl's family and the principal at Emmanuel Christian School in Springfield. School officials met with the girl and family on Monday morning before releasing the statement. The 12-year-old girl, who's an African-American, said the 3 white boys students held her down in school playground a week ago during recess, covered her mouth, called her insulting names, and used scissors to cut her hair. Well, gee, I wonder where she's learned that from. Well, you guys remember this story. You remember the whole Duke lacrosse thing? That was literally ripping the whole country apart. I remember this story. This was a terrible story. When it first came out, when what's her name? Crystal Mangum. When she came out and made that horrible, it was just terrible. It rips your heart out when you think about what she was saying would happen to her. She goes there and basically at a party, it was like, a little, not frat party, it was like a lacrosse team, a bunch of guys that get together and they say, okay, we're going to call some strippers in or whatever. When she goes in there, and then she made the accusation that they were taking turns, all this stuff, right? And literally had the entire nation on edge, people ripping each other apart. It was so bad, even a group of professors at the school, I remember this, they got together and took a full-page ad out of some paper and said, we denounce these students. How dare they do that? And they do not represent this school. They do not represent what America is about. You remember they did all of that. And it came out, this woman was lying. She made it all up. Then what happened? They did what did the collective community do? Moonwalk back into the bushes. Did the Homer Simpson move and moonwalk back in the bushes. And all right, well, we ain't gonna talk about that. I think I got this one here. Let's see. This is one, and then I think I got one more. Woman admits she faked hate crime. A former Huntersville woman had admitted faking a hate crime at her home 2 years ago to collect insurance money. Jalen Seeley, 35, pleaded guilty Thursday in a district court, crying throughout the hearing. She will be sentenced in about 2 months and could face prison time. She will have to repay like over $2,000 given her family by neighbors and others. Listen. So she was given money by different people who just immediately had compassion and wanted to help her. And so now they found out the truth that they said someone had burned her Seeley's car and painted racial slurs on the garage. So it ended up, she did it. They said Seeley, who is black, admitted using gasoline to burn her 1999 Chevrolet Cavalier in her driveway and painting racial. Think about it. She literally sat down and thought this all the way out and did it. But what did the collective do? Moonwalk right back into into nothingness. and waited for and just, we ain't gonna say nothing about that. That's different. And, and that's it. And of course, did we talk about Tawana Brawley? How many of y'all remember that? Did I mention that story? You remember the whole Tawana Brawley situation with Al Sharpton? She made the allegation in New York that some white police officers or something grabbed her and had their way with her, and then they scratched all these racial things on her chest and all that and threw her in the trash can. I remember that. I was working up in North Jersey during that time. I remember it very well, very vividly. I remember this. And people were on edge. People were angry. People were just, they were going off. I remember listening on the radio. The internet wasn't as big in those days, but I remember even listening on the radio and how people were just going off, man. Black folks were marching everywhere. They were doing protests and all of that. And then what happened? It came out she was lying. She made it all up. She scratched her own self up. And then I know there's other stories that I can talk about too. There's plenty of other stories, but I wanted to kind of go through all of this. And for some of you, I know it's very painful. I don't like hearing this stuff either, let alone researching and digging this stuff up. But if you are an investor, going back to what I was saying earlier, and you find that your investments aren't really you're not getting value out of that, you have to reassess, and you're going to have to realign what you're doing. This happens every day in the world, in Wall Street. We're just using Wall Street as an example. When you are investing into something and that ain't panning out, you're not getting anything, you're not getting value, you're not getting worth out of that, there's something that you got to realign. You got to make adjustments quickly. For what we call the Black community, unfortunately, when it comes to our emotions, we are terrible. Many Black folks are terrible investors when it comes to emotions. We're not talking about money. We could talk about money. The money just is a reflection of how you handle yourself. But when it comes to to emotions, there are many Black folks, not all, but there are many Black folks are terrible investors when it comes to that. Instead of asking questions and all of that, we're gonna jump behind this. We're gonna get behind this because I don't like how they're doing this. And see, this is you just build a whole narrative and you just invest. I'm gonna put money, and then you start putting money on the table and start doing all of that. I'm gonna invest. And then when it comes out that, man, we didn't even know what is the typical thing? You just back off, right? You just back up and you don't even, it's just, there's no honesty when it comes to, okay, this is clearly something that's we're not doing things the right way here. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and for somebody to say, and like I said, this is honest talk tonight. For somebody to say, and let's be completely honest here, to say that I don't give two craps if you're listening tonight and you have given to the Carmelo Anthony Foundation, I don't care. I literally don't. I don't. That's your money. I literally don't care. My question to you is this. My question to you is, why is it easy to do that than it is to do to show up strong, just as strong for all of those people that I was reading the other night, Black folks who were saying that, hey, I need a little help here because I got hit by a stray bullet by some nigga down the street. I need help. But the community doesn't show up for that. But yet I'm supposed to say that this is a reflection of we all coming together. We all coming on code. Well, why is the code break down for the real vulnerable? And these people ain't do nothing. They're not criminals. They were just minding their business. And they got how about this? How about this one for you? Now, I really got a spot for my heart on this. I mean, because I have a daughter. But I remember my daughter telling me, she was attending Temple University in Philadelphia. We lived in South Jersey at the time. And so we were trying to figure out the whole transportation thing for her. She didn't have a car at that time. So we said, take the train. Well, the train she took, it would take her right through Camden, New Jersey. If you know anything about Camden, whatever you know, it's that. Okay, that's whatever you heard of. Yeah, it's that. Camden, New Jersey, it's that. And so as a black woman, here she is walking, minding her business. She's carrying her book bag or whatever it is. She minding her business. It's cold out, so she ain't got her breast all hanging out. She don't do that anyway, but she is just dressed like regular. You know, she's a student. And she said the amount of men that same color skin grabbing on her, talking about, hey, come over here, and all of this stuff. And then it was literally grabbing. She was saying, put hand. She told me that, and I was like, okay, we ain't doing that no more. Cause see, don't let me be there. Do not let me be there. And I heard, we had to change course. We had to figure out something real quick when I heard that. But she told me that. She said, this is normal. She said, Dad, this is normal. I'm just walking down the street minding my business. And it's a little more than catcalling. It's you know, if you're like, hey girl, how you doing? You know, whatever. Okay, fine. You keep it moving. But there's Kate. She was talking about situations where they're actually following her. You imagine that. You just minding your business. You trying to get to work. You trying to get to school or whatever it is. And you got folks following you. Where is the outcry when it comes to that? Where we could say, you know what? Enough is enough. No, we want to make sure our sisters are safe on these streets. And then they ain't getting that. You know when it will happen? You know what? Following my footsteps. You know when it's going to happen? You know when they'll do that? When one of our sisters ends up getting accosted or whatever, and it's a white person doing it. Now all of a sudden, Black Voltron comes together. That's when it's going to happen. Isn't that for? But see, we won't be honest with that. We won't be honest about that. But it's true. It's very, very true that it's not a real concern. And I think that's what really troubles me a lot when these different stories come up, because it's false. It's really everything that you're seeing. It's really false. You understand what I'm saying? This young man who made the bad decision to do the knife thing. I don't know this dude. I don't know him. They hate him, love him, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? But what I do know, but the information I do know, it is not nothing in me that's like, we gonna stand with this guy. I'm not doing that. No. It's people do stuff all the time. Let me show you this grandmother here. And it's sad, but it's something that it happens. This happens all the time in amongst people, right? This is a video that's going around. This is a grandmother who is sitting down with her grandbaby and basically, talking to him as they are getting ready to send her grandbaby to prison. And he's getting ready to go into prison, 35 years in prison. And I think it was for murder or something like that. 35 years he's getting ready to go in there. And this grandmother, she was like, okay, I'm trying to find it here. And she was saying, I'm just, sitting down with him and all of that. I'm trying, man, a lot of times they be taking stuff and shuffling and then moving it around. If not, I know I can find it on YouTube because I think I found it there as well. But I want y'all to really see this, and then we're done here. But I want you definitely need to see this video here, because this video reflects something that happens all the time. And I want you to hear what she was saying. Oh yeah, here it is. Dang, it was that long? It was that far down? Okay, here it is. Here it is. Thank you for your patience. And if anybody would like to call in, I would be willing to open the phone line up tonight if you're willing, if you want to do that. Just put in the chat if you would like to call in and share your thoughts on anything that's been shared tonight. If you want to do that, just let me know. Just put it in the chat. Hey, listen, I'd like to call in. let me know and I'll set it up. It only takes about a minute or so for me to do that. But in the meantime, let me play this video here. Yeah, 35 years this young man is going to be in prison. But I want you to listen to this grandmother and what she's telling her grandbaby.
And then you want to pray, if you get a second chance, how you going to turn this here around, okay? So your life ain't over. You just need a second chance. So that's what you need to dwell on and pray about. A second chance. And sit down and think about how you going to make this happen. And obey your parents. And come in, come home on time. Come in, come home. Number one, streets don't love you. We love you, not the streets. You see where the streets get you?
Could you give me a hug, baby? Grandma, you okay? I'm sorry you got to go through this. But all you had to do was listen to your parents. Okay? Okay? I don't know how things gonna turn out for you. I ain't got no idea how nothing gonna turn out. No idea at all. I didn't know nothing this second. I told y'all don't tell me nothing. Didn't I tell you that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, baby. So I'm so sorry you got to go through what you're going through. But if God help you out of this, please get yourself together, baby. And it's going to take a miracle. It's going to take a miracle that we don't have. You can turn me loose now.
And then you want to pray.
These kind of conversations, unfortunately, happen all the time. All the time. You know, well, you should have listened to your parents. Well, it's kind of too late now. 35 years, let's say if he's in his late teens, let's say he's 18 and you do the math on that. I mean, a good portion of his life is gone. And in the meantime, you're in prison, which means that's a whole nother energy that's going to happen, and he gets out. Who knows what happens, and it's just a whole cycle. But this happens all the time, literally all the time. I'm going to do something. I'm going to probably put it in a post. I'm gonna make it into a post because someone said something here that reminded me of this, and we're bringing this to a close here. When I talk about when you hear me say black community, you may hear me a lot of times kind of stutter when I'm saying that because I'm trying to say it in a way where I'm not falling into the mindset of, hey, we all in this together. I don't think that anymore. I don't. And I'm telling you, you don't need to think that way either. You don't. You're greater than the color of your skin. Your skin is part of your story, but what's inside, you're much greater than that. I want you to understand that. You're way better. It cannot be defined. So people that can only see one-dimensionally, they can only identify you by what they see. Your mission in life is to discover what's in this earth suit. That's your mission. Because if you spend your whole life marching for this, your earth suit doesn't last forever. What's inside is a much greater than this. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we got far too many people who are committed to this. It ain't just black people, white people too. People from India or whatever, same thing. But who you really are is what's in here. I was thinking about, so anyway, I'm still putting my thoughts together on what I was getting ready to say, but let me just say this. There was a study that was done. I saw this, I don't know, it was some nature show or something like this, and they had a whole group of wolves, and they tagged them all. They put little like satellite tags on them. And what they did was, it was like in Alaska somewhere, and they said, okay, we're just going to let them go. So they let them go into this wilderness. And they noticed something. They noticed that the wolves began to split up in their own separate packs, right? And so they noticed that the wolves instinctively, you had one pack over here, you had another pack over there, you had another pack over there, you had another pack over here, you had another old pack over there, right? And so instinctively, they knew their borders. They literally drew their borders. When you looked at it on a satellite, you literally saw borders where they knew, okay, this is our area. We know not to go over there. They were very careful not to cross over each other, but they're all wolves. They were all wolves, but they split up in their own packs. Now, think about this for a second. See, what we have trained ourselves to think is that all these wolves got to all be together. We all in this together at the end of the day. You know what the wolves said? No, the hell we ain't. We ain't all this in this together. Because if you cross over into my piece that I established, I'm going to bite your head off. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what they established. And wolves will do that. You cross over, if you a wolf, you think, hey, man, we all wolves up in here. We all wolves up in here, man. No, you crossing my territory, you better get up out of here, or you gonna be dead, one of the two, and we gonna all sit around and eat you. There's no allegiance like that, but it's only people that think that way. We think that when you see a whole ocean of folk, look at all these black people out here. You know what I see that? See, when I was younger, I used to get energized by that when I would see that. Look at all these black folks out here. Oh man, look at this. Yeah, you know. But you know what I see now? I see a lot of people, but more and more I see myself like this. And I'm like, I'm not saying I don't have nothing to do with any black people. Let me be clear with that. What I see is, okay, hopefully I'll find my people within this group. That's what I see now. There's none of that. There's no like, oh, we all want. I can't wait till we have one big thing. You want an example? You think I'm crazy, right? Maybe I'm a sellout. Maybe I'm just whatever. Take a look at the continent of Africa. The continent of Africa, we could talk about colonialism and how they came in and they drew the borders and all that. Yeah, they did all of that. But guess who's maintaining those borders? Guess who's still fighting with each other? They are. There's no unity in Africa. I don't care what they tell you. They try to make it seem like, oh, all Africans together. No, they're not. And if they're honest, they'll tell you that. So when people are telling you, oh, yeah, we got to go over there because this is the promised land. I ain't going over there. I'm trying to find my people where I am right now. And what's funny, we have good friends that live there, but they're moving somewhere else now. Good friends, they're African. And we've never physically met them. But we have talked a lot over the years, over the phone and all of that. Never met them, but there's just something about them where we just click. And it ain't because, well, they're from the motherland. It's not that. It's just, there's certain people that you're going to meet, you're just going to click with. It's just how it is. It's just, there's nothing that you can't define it. Nothing. It's just literally, you just meet somebody and it just clicks. It just clicks. I've come across people like that are black. I've come across people that are white. I've come across other people, again, but it's very small. It ain't everybody. It ain't a whole lot of people, trust me, that I would get that close to, let alone bring them up in my family. I would not do that. And you know where I learned that from? You know where I learned not to do that from? The church. Because see, when I went into the church, I know I'm talking long, but when I went up into the church world, my assumption was that we were all one family until I started asking questions. When I started asking questions and I was saying, and being very respectful and like, I don't know about this. Well, I don't know about that. You know what happened? I found out very quickly we weren't one big family. I remember when we had our son and my wife, she's in the hospital and all of that. We had people coming in and out from the church. It was like, oh, look at the baby. Oh, can I hold him and all that? Oh, they were so nice. They were coming in. They were bringing over food and all this other stuff, right? Fast forward, life happens. A lot of things happen. And then we had our daughter. Well, by that time we had our daughter, we had made the decision to leave the church. Well, guess how many people were showing up then? Nobody. It was literally like going from your phone just ringing out the hook to literally it was silence. That was the thing that really got me. I was like, well, wait a minute. All these folks, wait a minute. I thought we were all family. Until I made the decision to start thinking for myself and asking questions. Then all of a sudden, that group got small. It got small real quick. When I'm telling you, black man, black woman, that has black man or woman that happens to have skin like this, you're going to have to break out of this mindset thinking that just because people got skin like this, it doesn't mean they are for you. Okay? It doesn't mean that. You got to break out of that mindset. You have to break out of that mindset. There are people who will look like you. They may even sound like you. Y'all may enjoy the same food. But I'm telling you right now, if you think at that level, that's a very one-dimensional way of thinking. And I'm telling you right now, you are going to be disappointed over and over again if that's how you think and that's how you see the world, because it doesn't work that way. I'm trying to save you from a lot of mess. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of people who think that way, and you invest so much into the blackness thing that you miss out on wonderful opportunities out there for you to really begin to explore and discover all kind of things and to click with people that really have your best interests at heart. You understand? And so it's very hard for me to communicate this in a way because I know it's very challenging, and I know that there are people who don't want to hear this. They're not ready for this. But it's okay. I'm okay with it now. It used to be very hard for me to be like, I'm not going to say that or whatever. I'm okay. I'm actually okay with it now, because I know that I know it works. I know that I can't, me doing the same thing over and over again, I had to make some adjustments. I had to make some adjustments very quickly. Y'all remember, some of y'all remember, you remember we did the whole thing on Threema? It's Friday, so y'all, some of y'all got time. You got to go to bed. I get it. You can hear the rest of it. Remember we did the whole thing on Threema? That was, for those that don't know, what we did was, there's a platform called Threema. I'm still on it to a certain extent. And basically, I wanted to create this virtual community of people. And the focus was really like focusing on creating networks of people who have different skill sets and all of that. So, whatever it is, from food, medicines, herbal stuff to, people need help with whatever it is, you can all help, or assistance is always a text or a phone call away, and just creating a real sustainable type network that will go nationwide. You know what I'm saying? And I really didn't even know what name to put on it at all, because it wasn't like a church or ministry or anything like that. This was just trying to get grown folks to come together and to let's build some things where, hey, if you grow certain produce or whatever, great. You may have someone over here that would like to get access to it. Okay, let's team up and let's create a network where we're just able to pass this stuff around. So if prices go up or down or whatever, you got a group of folks, mostly black folks, that we can come together and we can network. We can think that way. There's no, we're not operating like it wasn't like I made a point. I said, I'm not saying anything about Sambatry. I want people to understand this ain't some kind of extension of the business and I'm trying to make more money. None of it. I left all of that out. I said, nope, I ain't putting any of that in there. If anything, I'll promote businesses, other people's business, but I'm not doing that, because that's not what this is about at all. I made that very clear. And so you had people, coming together in their different groups, people who had different backgrounds and stuff. And for the most part, I would say the majority of people were cool. We had up to, it was under 1,000 people, under 1,000, not 100,000, under 1,000 people that was the high point of people. So it was going good. People were in their groups and all that, getting to know each other and all that stuff, right? And I started hearing things. I started hearing about people creating side groups and all of that, accusing us of doing this and that. They were creating all these side groups. Just imagine if you build a house and you got a big house and you got all these rooms here, and you just invite people to come over and say, hey, listen, just bring some food over. There's plenty of room, man. Just do you and all that. Just be respectful to the place or whatever. And we're going to have a good time. And just imagine you do that, right? And people come But then they start going into side rooms and they're like, yeah, I can't stand this place. You imagine what these people are, why are they going, they think they doing this. And, you know, you hear, and they just sitting there just constantly talking about you, tearing you down in your own house, in your own space that you created. And just tore it down. And kept their mouths just kept going after it. And finally I said, enough. I'm done. I remember going back even further than that. Let's go back even further than that. I had the idea. I said, hey, let's create a social media platform. I found the software we can do, you know, we can finally have our own social media platform. This was some years ago. And, you know, and that way we ain't got to worry about being, you know, restricted or being, you know, we can say what we want to say and all this other stuff, right? I did that. You know, it was this, and it's the same. It was the same stuff that I experienced. In the same thing. It was side groups, and we're gonna start talking. Same thing. So, what did I learn from those 2 lessons? I said, never again. I'll never do anything like that again. Never. Now, am I giving up on all black people? No, of course not. Well, I'm giving up on the all black folks, we all got to work together mindset. Yes. And what I'm doing is reinvesting in me, in my mindset, my health and wellness. And I'm focusing only on those that instinctively I know I'm supposed to be with. That's where my energy is right now. And then with the lessons I learned in doing this, I just use this as a platform just to share it. That's it. So whoever hears it, if it helps them, great. If it don't. But, you know, but that's what I do. You know, I'm just sharing this, you know, my own personal experience on these things. And, you know, but I, you know, when it comes to our history as so-called black folks or whatever, I will defend it day and night because I'm not a denier. There's a lot of people, religion does this, denies. It specializes in denying where you came from. They want you to forget where you came from and all that. I'm not like that. No, I need to remember these things. I'm not going to sit up here and say, ta-da, I'm a Sephardic Jew from whatever. No, I know where I came. I know where our people came from, where my lineage comes from, and I'm going to research and look at that. But I'm not obligated to stay there because even that culture does not completely define who I am. Do you understand? It doesn't. It does not completely. You could say you come from the Bantu. You could say you are Cherokee. I don't care. But those cultures do not define who you, Clayton, it doesn't define who you really are inside. Do you understand? It doesn't. That's just your entry point. Now you learn that origin story and you figure things out, but it doesn't complete the whole story. That's just where you came in. Do you understand what I'm saying? My lights let me know it's time to shut it down. But that's what I want people to get from this. Don't fall into this trap that you have to walk in lockstep with foolishness and ignorance and willing ignorance. You don't have to do that. Because if you truly understand what I'm saying here, you're gonna always be like that eagle and be above it and be able to see a much bigger picture. And that's what I hope people get when they watch our videos. I know our videos can be a little bit lengthy, but I really try to emphasize this to people, and I hope you get it. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, it's still not too late. This Sunday, we will be doing our Chat GPT class. So if you haven't signed up for that and you're interested, I completed the book. The book is completed. Well, I just got to do the cover page, and that's it. About 70 some, almost 80 pages that people will get. PDF a booklet that you will get that's going to help you even after the class. So Saturday, I was trying to get an email out. If you get an email, it'll probably be late tonight or Saturday. So if you did sign up for it, look out for an email from me. and it will have all the instructions and everything on what you need to do. It's going to be super simple on how you get on and all that. It will not be on Zoom. I'll tell you that right now. It will not be on Zoom. I've had too many experiences with that, especially when I'm dealing with people of a certain age. I love y'all very much, but it's just the camera. Can you hear me? You know, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. But anyway, look out for the email. Particularly check out your spam, okay? That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and I will talk to you again soon. Take care now.